first game.
Not the best place to be.
And he's on the draw.
Yep, and there is a Rakdos Cackler. It's unleashed. As you see, Calcano's going to temple up, going to scry away. In Calcano's hand right now, Matthias, he does have a Supreme Verdict, but can he get there?
I like that. I mean, remember that a lot of these mono red decks kind of run headlong into Supreme Verdict. Now Mario, if he's being astute here, may realize that because Calcano's on a mulligan, he doesn't have to run all his creatures into Supreme Verdict, but he looks like he's going full blast so far.
Axel's going to come across for 2 along with that Cackler. Going to put Calcano down to 16. Attack again. Put him down to 12. We'll see what the follow-up is going to be, assuming there is one. It's a Firefish Striker and passing the turn back.
Wow, no more lands for Mario. Means that Calcano, I think he has a shot here. He also drew a Sphinx's Revelation, so he has those 2 important cards. He really needs to play... The first play of the game term really can't be Supreme Verdict. He'll be at least 6, if not... You know, he could go to 6 and it could be searing, you know, lightning strike, bam, you're dead. So we're hoping if you're Calcano for an Azorius Charm or something here.
Calcano just plays a Godless Shrine, taps and passes the turn. In come the creatures. Is it all okay? It looks like it is. Going to put him down to 6. Mario Martinez is just going to pass the turn back. He does have a Chandra's Phoenix in his hand. Calcano does have the 4th land, and there is the Supreme Verdict. Double Lightning Strike says, I think let's move on to the second game. So Mario Martinez very, very quickly wins game number 1 with Mono Red with a turn 5 kill.
Yeah, what I actually turn
5.
Four.
Turn 5. Missed his 3rd land drop.
Right, he didn't pick for turn. Now the interesting thing is that even if Calcano had, say, the turn 2 Azorius Charm, turn 4 Verdict, turn 5 Revelation, he would have gotten killed on the exact same turn. The Azorius Charm wouldn't have actually, because Martinez could have made the Chandra's Phoenix, it really wouldn't have saved him there.
I mean, mulling to 5 is difficult enough, and this is already a pretty tough matchup for Calcano. So immediately the first thing that we do is we check out his sideboard, see what he's got to turn things around.
Well, not much, and I think that's where this might hurt him. We saw when Max Teeth was winning this matchup, he was able to board in Ratchet Bombs, Last Breaths, Yoked Oxes, to Celestial Flares. Calcano's sideboard has been bent in a really different direction. I'm going to run through some of the cards. He has 3 ofs in Blood Baron of Viscopa, Sin Collector, and Thoughtseize, as well as 2 Ashioks, and a Merciless Eviction, and a Negate. None of those cards are actually good in this matchup. The only thing which you might see him bring in is 2 Detention Spheres. Okay. I mean, by might, I mean you probably will. It's really an awkward situation for me. He has a lot of cards that are really not good in the matchup. He has 2 Etherlings and 2 Dissolves, which I don't... Because he's not running any Elspeths, he actually has to keep in at least 1 Etherling in this matchup. But Dissolve is really a weak card. Merciless Eviction in the main is a pretty weak card in the matchup. But he's going to have to play all of them.
Sounds like to me that you are not a fan of Blood Baron in this matchup at all.
Well, because Mario is playing Mizium Mortars for starters.
Okay. I mean, it is a little bit slow. The question is, like, when you cast it, is it the game breaker that it needs to be? Like, is it your Thragtusk card, which obviously not many things are Thragtusk?
I think it's going to be in this matchup.
Okay.
I mean, certainly Calcano will board it in.
Okay.
But it's not, I would rather just have more spells that cost 1 and 2.
Sure, just lower the curve that way.
Right, so there's 2 aspects. Calcano first needs to not die. He needs to survive the early game, and then he needs to finish the late game, and usually that's a Revelation that does it. I don't think it's the hard thing because his curve is really high. He has all these, far away, really powerful cards that are expensive. I'm not as much worried about Calcano's ability to finish the late game as I am about his ability to survive the early game. And while Blood Baron's a great finisher for the late game, it's not a card for the early game.
Taking a look at Martinez's sideboard here again, he won game 1 on turn 5, so very, very quickly. He's got 2 Active Treason, a Flames of the Firebrand, 3 copies of Peak Eruption, only 2 Burning Earths, to go on with a couple Boros Ragnars, 3 copies of Skullcrack, a Mizium Mortars, and in a Mutavault that we were wondering where the 4th one is. It's in the sideboard. So he can board with 22 lands, and I think he's going to do that along with those 2 copies of Burning Earth. But other than that, I mean, maybe Skullcrack comes in, but I've never been a big Skullcrack fan in these matchups just because you have to have it at the right time, and if you don't, then it doesn't really do very much at all. Then it's just a glorified Lava Spike.
Yeah, now to be fair, the Searing Spears in his deck are already glorified Lava Spikes, and Mario's not cutting those. So I think the Skullcracks will come in. I mean, this sounds strange, but you can upgrade your Lightning Strikes into Skullcracks in this matchup, and I think that's actually correct to do.
Yeah, I mean, you can also just board out these Shocks, which are pretty mopey.
Yeah, Shock doesn't do that much damage. So I do think you you board in the Burning Earth and Mutavault. There's only, and I do think all the Skullcracks come in just because they're better than some of the things that Mario's playing in the main.
So it looks like he's got, pretty happily 6 cards to board in, 2 Burning Earth, 3 Skullcracks, and a Mutavault. He can board out 4 Shocks, maybe those 2 Mizzium Mortars, and just call it a day and hope that Calcano doesn't draw one of those 3 copies of Blood Baron of Vizkopa.
I'm not sure how much he likes Chandra Pyromaster in this matchup. It gives you the potential to draw some extra cards, but its plus ability is actually not an ability in the matchup. Calcano doesn't really have blockers.
Yeah.
That's another card which is a consideration to burn out. Shock at least does 2 to the dome.
Sure.
I'm not sure. Well, Chandra can do 2. I'm just not sure it's fast enough.
Yeah, it is pretty slow. I don't think that's what Martinez wants to be doing on turn 4. I think he wants to be casting a 4-mana spell. I'll never argue otherwise, just not the Pyromaster, as Calcano is going to lay out his 7 cards, as is Martinez. If you guys are just joining us, Cedric Phillips and Matthias Hunt, SCG Live here in Worcester, Massachusetts. You can join us at SCG Live, hashtag SCGWOR for your tweets, as you'll see the gold level pro Christian Calcano start the show off with an Azorius Guildgate, while Martinez has that Mountain and Rakdos Cackler unleashed yet again.
Yeah, so Calcano, the play versus the draw is so important here. We saw last round, like when you sculpt Calcano's draws, you want them to be Azorius Charm and Supreme Verdict. The fact that he's on the play here is going to save him 2 life every single turn because he was able to Azorius Charm that Cackler.
So Charm puts the Cackler right on top. Calcano says, get that thing out of here. So Calcano looks like he's got a Watery Grave that's going to put into play tapped and pass the turn back. So the draw, of course, will be the Cackler for Martinez. We'll see if he has a spell to trigger the Pyromancer, if he just wants to start by getting that in the red zone. Looks like Ash Zealot is going to come.
The difference between these 2 games is just night and day right now.
Yeah,
it looks like Calcano has another Azorius Charm and the Supreme Verdict. He doesn't even play the Azorius Charm here because he knows he has the 4th land and the Supreme Verdict.
So he's going to take 2. He's going to go down 14, 2 for 1. Verdict's going to take care of those 2 creatures. Calcano is going to confidently pass the turn back. Martinez draws a card. It's not a land. He's got double Rakdos Cackler in the grip. Is he going to play both of those? Looks like it's going to be a Cackler and a Fire Drinker Satyr, and he's going to pass the turn back.
Yeah, Calcano was happy to take 2 there, I believe, because he has another Supreme Verdict, which will run out right now. This is a nightmare hand for Mono Red to be playing against.
Yeah. No kidding. As you see Martinez draw a Mountain, he's going to play a couple more Doofuses here in Young Pyromancer and Rakdos Cackler untapped and pass the turn back.
2 for 1, 2 for 1, 2 for 1. How long can Calcano keep it going?
Well,
there's number 3.
Turn. It's Calcano just laughing as he keeps casting Supreme Verdict. There's a Firefish Striker. Martinez is going to pass the turn back, and this is about the best way Calcano could draw it up here. So he actually has the Blood Baron Vizkopa in his hand as well.
He doesn't have the land for it. He does have 2 Azorius Charms and a far and away, so he's just not taking damage.
Yeah, he said, all right, put that back on top. Enjoy that draw step. There's a Firefish Striker. Essence Scatter is going to counter that. This is almost perfect for Calcano this game. And now he's going to play Jace Architect of Thought. Elevator going down.
Wow, I'm surprised. I mean, not that it matters. I would have thought the elevator was going up. I thought he'd been plussing it.
Well, he's going to turn over 3 cards to demoralize Martinez instead. Martinez says, you can have that Sphinx's Revelation by itself, or I can have these 2 cards. No, not even close. He wants to cast Blood Baron. He wants to play Watergrave Tap and pass back.
Well, he can actually lose the Jace this way. Right, he gets it, man. That's why I thought the minus was a little aggressive.
Yeah. Jet's going to take care of that, but if Jet's taking care of the Jason not going to the head, you don't mind very much, as Martinez is going to pass the turn back. The Jet was on the upkeep. So Calcano's going to draw. He's going to slam down the Blood Baron of Vizkopa and says, beat this, kid.
Does he have the Mizzium Mortars? He has an Ash Zealot and a Skullcrack, it looks like. That's not going to do it.
He's got some sweet creatures. See, an Ash Zealot. That's a good card.
I mean, you can't even get hit by this guy if you're mono red. That's like, when you're throwing Skullcracks at people, this guy basically is drawing 2 cards every time he hits you.
Calcano up to 18, Martinez down to 16. Calcano again confidently, calmly passing the turn back. Ash Zealot ready to come across to the red zone.
He has 2 far and aways right now in his hand. I just can't see him possibly taking enough damage for this to matter.
Chandra Pyromaster going to show up to the party here for Martinez. Calcano says that's fine. Deal a damage to that and 1 to you, puts you to 15.
Chandra's very loyal. It'll take at least 1 hit from the Blood Baron, but I mean, the Blood Baron's connecting. That's like mission accomplished.
If Blood Baron even goes after Chandra, I could see Blood Baron just saying, I don't care about you, Pyromaster, going upstairs. So now we're going to see the away half cast to Far and Away. Sacrifice that Ash Salad, please, says Calcano as he untaps his Blood Baron of Escopa, draws a Plains. Into play it goes. Into the red zone goes the Blood Baron. Going to knock Martinez down to 12. Calcano up to 19.
The Pyromancer.
Yeah, does not care.
Master.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think that's
there
the
we
reason
go.
why.
Yeah, and Calcano can save the Far to protect his Blood Baron here.
There's young Pyromancer.
Yeah, I don't think he would use. He's going to use the Far and Away here.
Yeah, I don't think he has much of a reason to at this juncture.
We just need to make sure Blood Baron stays alive. He'd hate to lose to Amizium Mortars.
Yeah. So now here's a Skullcrack.
This is a good play. It stops one turn of life gain. The problem is Calcano's at 16. It's not like Martinez is going to swing back for it.
Could see Calcano use Far and Away, fusing it to bounce the token and kill the young Pyromancer.
I think it's a great play, but I think it's a trap.
Yep.
I want to just stay Far and Away to only protect Blood Baron of Escopa at all times.
Calcano going to play Watergrave untapped and pass the turn.
So he's now at actually 14. He has the 4th Supreme Verdict in hand.
Still had all these.
And Mutavault for Martinez means that the Elemental comes across. He's going to get Calcano down to, I believe, 13.
Yeah, that 1 damage. The 2 from the Watergrave
shock.
coming untapped, and then the 1 from the Elemental token is going to put him down to 13. So you can tell that they're making sure they have life totals in sync here, as Calcano's going to untap. He's going to attack here, so he should be pushing himself up to 17 now.
I think he's drawn another Blood Baron, by the way.
Is that card good?
I mean,
You're the
if it's
control.
good,
You're the
if it's
control
good,
player.
I bet the second one's good. It's not a legend. Yeah, that's reasonable.
That card feel like a legend to you? Feels like a legend to me. Maybe I could be wrong.
I mean, a Baron's not an exclusive title like a King or something. You can have more than one Baron.
But it feels legendary. It feels
It's
like
got a lot of text on it.
That's
which
why
usually
it
means
feels
it's
legendary. That
There are many
clause.
Barons in Viscopa, apparently. You can do that. It's not like, King of Viscopa. If you had more than one of those, that'd have to be legendary.
All right. If you say so. You say so. As Calcano's going to tie it up. We'll be moving into a third and final game here between Esper Control and Mono Red. See Calcano going to go back to the sideboard. Same with Martinez. So we'll see what these players are going to change. For the big thing here, especially as an aggro player myself, I've been in this situation many times before with the old Kifkin deck. Playing against the control strategy. Back then it would be 5 color. This time it's Esper. I'm on the play game 3. This is right where I want to be. Got to get him dead as fast as I can.
We've seen each deck just on the play demolish its opponent. Granted, Calcano was on a mulligan to 5 game 1. I don't actually think that mattered. I don't know. It's hard for Calcano to sculpt a draw that can still work there. That will interact with what Martinez was doing. So, it really seems like being on the play is as long as you get your game plan, you get the draw that you want, is just really powerful in this matchup.
Yeah. But I think, again, the play, I don't want to say it's a die roll dependent matchup because I don't actually think that that's true, but I think that being on the play is certainly important. And for Mario, being on the play in game 3 is huge. Huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely huge.
Now, I was a little unimpressed with Young Pyromancer that game from
Me
Mario.
too.
That's the difference between his deck and Owen's. This is not to say the Young Pyromancer does not have a place in Standard. That card is incredibly powerful, and I'm sure we will see it at some point in this next year while it's legal. I can't imagine that card won't see play. I'm not sure Martinez's deck is the place I like it.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled by it in his deck either. Again, I'm with you. The power level of that card is undeniable. Finding a home for it is pretty difficult, though.
I saw today a red-white Boros tokens deck based around Perforos and Burns and Molten Birth that I thought was really innovative. When I hear about that, I'm like, that's a Young Pyromancer deck I like.
Yeah.
If you have a Perforos and a Pyromancer, Molten Birth sounds really good. Okay, they're Hue 6 now.
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah. I had a deck I was working on last Standard, which was basically a Runechanter's Pike Snapcaster Mage Thought Scour Young Pyromancer deck.
Okay.
Which was I'll tell you, in that deck, the Pyromancer was insane. And that's kind of what I see it in. Again, that deck wasn't very good because the shell was kind of suspect, but the Pyromancer, no complaints about him. In this style deck, I think Owen's on the right path. where you want a creature that's really good when you're curving out. Pyromancer is not that.
Yeah, I think you just have to be hyper aggressive with these red decks. Get underneath your opponent before they can do anything. Yeah, you might have to play some marginal cards like Foundry Street Denizen, but you know, it's a piece to the puzzle that makes it the opponent doesn't get the opportunity to, you know, do what they want to do, which is cast Blood Baron of Viscopa. As you can take a look at both players' faces here right now, Martinez looks kind of happy, and Calcano looks like he's in pain.
Calcano on the pro scene is a crowd favorite. He wears his emotions and his heart on his sleeve. I've had the chance to play against him multiple times at the PT, and let me tell you, while he's a pretty good player and a great guy, you know when Calcano has a good hand and when he has a bad hand. He's letting you know.
All right, so now Firefish Striker's to start. He was not to the board on turn 1. If you're Calcano, that's the biggest sigh of relief there is.
I do not like this start from Martinez. I know that I want to mulligan more aggressively than this. It's turn 2 and Calcano's at 20. I disapprove. All
right, so here's the thing. If he's not on the board on turn 1 with a Cackler or a Fire Drinker Satyr,
I want to see a Burning Tree Emissary.
I want to see a Burning Earth, actually. That's what I want to see. I mean, I would want to see a Burning Tree Emissary if Burning Tree Emissary was in his deck, but it's not. So what I want to see...
you're right.
Yeah, so what I want to see is I want to see a hand with Burning Earth here.
Calcano's able to Azorius Charm, the Firefish Striker, and because that's not the haste card...
It's a D-Sphere, yep.
Boy, Christian, that could come back to get you. There is this card called Burning Earth. People still play it. You better have an answer for it.
Well, it doesn't look like Mario has one. He's got a Young Pyromancer and a Firefish Striker in passing.
He better have another detention. Okay, he does have another detention screen. All right, I was going to say he better. Otherwise, I was like, that's really... you need to respect your opponents. Yeah. You need to respect that card. Look at your lands. I mean, maybe not. Okay, actually, look at his lands. Fine. Yeah, you don't need to respect it. Fine. Yeah. Okay, you're right. No, he's fine. Whatever. Yeah. Burning Earth. Sure.
And you see the Jace come down here. It's going to go up 1.
It's so good right now.
Yep, there's a Chandra. Who's it attacking? That's the question.
Okay, I know that he's going at Calcano with all the damage. You can't do that.
Yeah, this is the tricky thing with Jace, right? You try to ignore Jace, and Jace is like, fine, keep taking up. Your creatures are embarrassing.
If Calcano were at 8, this would be a different story, but he was at 18. You can't let him do that with Jace. Jace will, for example, you can't beat a Verdict right now. Jace's -2 ability just like digs you so many cards deep. Not to mention the Jace, every time you plus it, is gaining him. It's gaining Calcano at least 3 life a turn. You know, if I had a card that said in this matchup, at the beginning of your upkeep, gain 3 life, and you're the red player, like you'd have to get rid of that thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that card's insane against you. You're playing Skullcracks. So that's saying like I'm drawing 2 cards a turn.
Speaking of insane.
Yeah.
Blood Baron Viscopa is now shown up to the party here.
Yeah, and I think this is just a little. I don't know. Martinez. I don't know how much he's respecting.
Oh boy, there's your trigger. He's just coming into the red zone here.
Yep.
And you see, okay, so Firefish Striker. Sorry, the trigger for Firefish Striker makes it so the Blood Baron can't block.
2 more Firefish Strikers. Yeah. That's his whole hand.
Oh, he's all
Respect. I mean, if Calcano doesn't have the Verdict in his hand, he's gonna find one with the Jace.
Yeah, we know he's got the D-Sphere. Yep.
Oh wow. Oh, that's pretty good, right? 3 Firefish Strikers. You know what, Calcano? He had so much gas here. I'm just let something you've seen in his hand. He had the Supreme Verdict, but just didn't want to get rid of the Blood Baron, so he went for the Detention Sphere.
Yep.
So even if he didn't have the Detention Sphere, first of all, casting Verdict on this board is completely insane for Calcano. Okay, yeah, it gets rid of the Blood Baron. Tier. Now you just have to have this Jace with 7 counters when your opponent has no cards in hand.
Oh boy.
I mean,
this is a sinking ship for Mario.
The Blood Baron's connecting.
That's pretty much it.
That's it.
That's why it's a sinking ship for Mario. I'm not quite sure I was going to be able to come back. You see Essence Scatter counter.
We're just so wealthy.
Yeah.
We're Essence Scattering Chandra's Phoenixes. Oh man.
Yeah, we're actually doing that well.
And then we're like, yeah, he can get it back. Yeah, it's okay. I'll take the card disadvantage. No, that's fine. Far and away, Doomblade, and replacement Jace. By the way, still have the Supreme Verdict, not using it.
This is rated up. This is rated R.
Yeah.
It's like a scary movie. If you're a Mono Red fan.
Graphic violence.
Yeah, if you're a Mono Red fan. Here's Jace. Mario's going to.
Which kill spell do you want me to use? Yeah, I think he just takes the 2 cards.
Mario's gonna split these Jace and Doomblade.
You know what? Mario could split these 0-3, and Calcano could pick up the 0, and he'd still be in a commanding position.
Yeah, it's a tough game for Mario to come back from here. I
just
can't imagine him coming back in this game.
It starts with him mortarsing the Blood Baron, and it ends with Calcano wrathing a few times, and Mario continuing to draw skull cracks and getting back phoenixes, and that's not even it. And then getting a Chandra Pyromaster, drawing 2 cards a turn, burning his face. I don't know. This is difficult.
There's a combination of cards that do exist for Mario, and I'd like to see him happen. As he's going to come in with Blood Baron first is Calcano.
He was thinking about far-awaying. I mean, you'd at least want to wait till blocks.
Yeah.
If you're going to far away, to try to induce a double block and be like, ah. I mean, to be fair, Mario knows he has the far away, so that wouldn't work.
Yeah, Calcano doesn't really have much of a reason to move.
He doesn't do anything. He has no reason to play anything. He's taking 4 and gaining 4 a turn. He's taking 0.
Yeah. Make him beat what's on the board.
Here's
pretty
the
much.
thing. Why cast a spell?
Oh, this again.
Why cast a spell when you don't need to cast a spell? The best part is when you win and then you have 7 cards and you'd be like, these cards all beat you, and I played none of them.
Yep, so he's going to say, bounce your Chandra's Fingers with far, make it sacrifice your Pyromancer with away.
This is when Mario went to combat too, so he wasn't able to This is on end step. I don't know when that was, because Mario didn't recast the Phoenix.
I believe it's on end step. Here is a Detention Sphere and Azorius Charm and the Black-White Temple.
Yeah, more things.
So
more toys.
If you're wondering if Jace Architect of Thought is a good card.
This is why you kill the Jace. I don't know even if Mario kills the Jace, I don't think it's enough here.
No, I mean that's why Jace is insane, because if he would have spent his turns going after Jace, then Calcano's life is 6 points higher. So that's why Jace is insane. I mean, yes, Chandra Pyromancer shows up to the party. Now Mario's got his own Planeswalker, but one of these things is better than the other.
Blood Baron's the real problem here. The problems here are Blood Baron and that Mario didn't attack until turn 3.
Yeah.
When he's on the play, we saw the domination, the dominance his deck can have here, but that dominance occurs when he just curves out with 1-drops.
Yeah, he has to aggressively mulligan into a 1-drop, I think, to be able to win this matchup. Like, yes, he had a pretty good 7-card hand. You see Hero's Downfall is going to take care of the Chandra, but I think in this matchup you have to mulligan into a 1-drop hand because you have to get on the board early, so make it so you have to actually pressure them to play their dual lands untap to deal himself 2, and make it so the Temples come into play tapped is actually a drawback instead of something you don't actually care about.
Yeah, and I think some of this is in deck construction. We were talking with Owen about mono red. He said the best hands by far are the triple 1-drops, 1-drop into 1-drop, 1-drop, or the 1-drop into Burning Tree Emissary hands. Now, Mario's deck has 8 1-drops instead of 12, and it has no Burning Tree Emissaries. It's lost a lot of its nut draw potential. And now that you do get a little more resilience because you have a lot more burn spells to close out the game, that's, I think, the trade-off he's made. He can burn people out from higher life totals. But when your opponent's playing something like a Lifelinker, that game plan is really... burning people out doesn't work when your opponent has a lifelink creature.
You see the Rakdos Cackler trying to get in front of the Blood Baron, but Blood Baron has protection from white and black, so Rakdos Cackler, you just stink. You don't get to block.
I mean, Christian Calcano's at 33 now.
That's a lot of life.
I mean,
The Temple is going to come into play. It's going to check the top. Calcano says that can stay. Jace has already moved up for the turn. He's got a full grip from a Revelation. And unfortunately for Mario, who has had a great tournament, he's sitting at 8-1, but he's in an unenviable position of not being able to draw into top 8.
I guess what we should say is the take Mario's taken on mono red, the heavy burn package. Let's talk about how it predicts the meta. If the meta today was a lot of green-white decks, that's something that red has a lot of trouble with. I think the heavy burn package he's playing is actually the correct way to be going in the meta.
Sure.
Playing lots of 1-drops, say I have lots more 1-drops, okay? And my opponent has a lot more Fleece Mane Lions. Like, my 1-drops seem terrible there. I don't want more 1-drops. What I want is more Lightning Strike, more Magma Jet, and I think especially more Chandra Pyromaster.
Yep.
And so, I can't, say we haven't followed him every round, but